Spanish class is in session.
Mr. President, I'd like to teach you how to say let's make America great again in Spanish. So, vamos a hacer América grande otra vez.
America grande otra vez.
Excelente.
Sources tell Primetime Trump's learning how to say you're deported in Spanish, too. Estás deportado. And Democrats are saying no más.
The constitutional crisis is here. In that meeting in the White House, Donald Trump essentially told the Supreme Court to pound sand. Because far from what he says is what he doesn't say. And that is nowhere in that entire meeting does the President of the United States ask the President of El Salvador to return the man wrongly sent to a maximum security prison in his country. It just never happens. The President has taken a very determined step towards dictatorship.
Does it feel like a constitutional crisis? An illegal alien gangbanger from El Salvador is back in El Salvador. After all the times they've declared constitutional crisis, this one's got to be the weirdest. If deporting gangbangers makes you a dictator, then I'm all in. They're now saying we shouldn't arrest gangbangers, that people who deport gangbangers, they should be arrested.
Kristi Noem, the head of the Department of Homeland Security, and Tom Homan, the head of ICE, must be arrested immediately for contempt of court. They're defying court orders to return Mr. Abrego Garcia from captivity and torture in El Salvador. It is time to teach the Trump administration a lesson.
Was Keith in a straitjacket? That was hard to say. Democrats charged Trump with 91 counts. He beat the rap, got elected, and deported an illegal to where he was born. Something almost all Americans want. But Democrats, and this is why they lost, want to charge Trump with another crime, kidnapping.
I think the attorney generals play a really important role right now. I think it's only a matter of time before one of them figures out how to file state kidnapping charges against those that are abducting people who are in this country legally and sending them to this new concentration camp that Donald Trump laughs about having created in El Salvador. Attorney generals are going to play a critically important role in these days ahead fighting this fascist moment in American history.
Just as Democrats can turn a man into a woman, they can turn deporting into kidnapping, just like that. And Senator Van Halen from Maryland is flying to El Salvador tomorrow to break the gangbanger out of jail.
So you've got a Maryland man who's the father of 3, illegally detained in a notorious prison in El Salvador. I do intend to go to El Salvador to discuss the release of this individual who is illegally detained in El Salvador. It is absolutely unjust and illegal to have this Marylander detained one more day in a notorious prison in El Salvador.
He's a Marylander? Since when? If I break into Mexico, am I a Mexicano? No. Maryland mom, Rachel Morin, was raped and murdered by an MS-13 member from El Salvador. And Senator Van Halen is trying to spring a member from the same gang out of prison. Trump's getting gangbangers out of Maryland, and Maryland politicians are trying to fly him back in. And late-night hosts are now calling illegals Americans.
One of the inmates currently in that prison is a Maryland man legally working here in the United States, married to an American citizen with American children. His name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and he was kidnapped by ICE and rendered to the torture prison because what Trump's own lawyers have admitted was an administrative error. Trump's folks are trying to whoops-a-daisy a human rights violation. It's like when Hitler came out with, "Mein bad."
Democrats are really going to bat for MS-13. First Tesla terrorists, then China, then Syrian immigrants who hate Jews, and now MS-13. Now, if you're MS-13, you're just trying to live the American dream.
We've been following the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, undocumented migrant from El Salvador, married an American woman, has a kid, living the American dream. Until the Trump administration sent him to an El Salvadorian mega prison.
Well, what is the American dream? Kilmar breaks into the country, gets pulled over all the time, skips every hearing, associates with high-ranking gangsters, gets his whole arm tatted up, gets an American woman pregnant, doesn't propose, only marries her after he gets arrested because his lawyers say it would look better to have roots in the community. A judge holds him and says he's a flight risk and a danger to the community. And a confidential informant tells the cops, the gang unit, that he's MS-13. And then a second judge upholds that he's MS-13. But CNN says he's just a Bulls fan.
According to court documents, Garcia and 3 other men were arrested in 2019. He was asked if he was a gang member. He said no. Garcia had been deemed a gang member by the Prince George's County Police Department in part because he was at the time wearing a Chicago Bulls hat and a hoodie.
Garcia's a Bulls fan, but he's from El Salvador, and he lives in Maryland, not Chicago. The Bulls lost 60 games in 2019, so why the hat? Can Garcia name anyone on the team? Anyone on any Bulls team besides Jordan? Everyone from El Salvador knows what it means when you wear a Bulls hat. It means you're MS-13. When you're in Compton, you don't accidentally wear red and say, oh, I didn't know red was Bloods. If you're a Latin American illegal alien in Maryland, you don't accidentally wear Chicago Bulls gear and hang around with high-ranking gangsters from MS-13. This is the reason he had to break into the country. Are you ready? A local gang in El Salvador was shaking down his grandma's tortilla shop. And his lawyers say if he gets sent back to El Salvador, he's a dead man. It's a tortilla blood vendetta. Seriously. So who are Garcia's attorneys who managed to get their client a hearing in the Supreme Court? Trump's deporting tens of thousands of illegals, and this is the only case that's gone this far. These lawyers must be good. Who are they? Well, they are good. They're the best lawyers dirty money can buy. The firms repped gang members like Aaron Hernandez and Bobby Shmurda. Aaron Hernandez was Bloods. Bobby Shmurda was GS9 out of Brooklyn. The firm also represented members of the Rosenthal Hidalgo family, traffickers in business with the cartels. And these well-paid defense attorneys took the Garcia case. But he's definitely not MS-13. These lawyers are really making him into an innocent Maryland dad in the media, and the media is drinking the Kool-Aid.
He's an illegal immigrant. Okay. He was here illegally with deportation orders in 2019. What part of that do you not understand?
I understand the story very well, and I'm going to stop going back and forth with you on this, but I will say, again, he had every right to be in this country. Is there any scenario under which this guy...
He was an illegal immigrant.
We're going to move on this.
No, I will not let you go forward.
Okay.
He was an illegal alien in this country with a deportation order in 2019. He is an El Salvadorian citizen.
How'd the media go from the border secure to MS-13 has every right to be in this country? This is a new low, even for them.
I'm not sure what is so difficult about this for everyone in the media to understand, and it's appalling, truly appalling, that there has been so much time covering this alleged human trafficker and this gang member, MS-13 gang member. It's truly striking to me.
Democrats just lost in a landslide because they let illegal gangbangers into the country, and they're still fighting for illegal gangbangers to come into the country. Even CNN agrees he's never coming back.
You don't think this man is coming back?
I don't think he's coming back, basically, ever.
Ever. Garcia's gang lawyers were in court today, begging an Obama judge to make Kristi Noem fly a gangster back to America. The Supreme Court even said these judges are out of line.
Look, they're working within the ambiguity that the Supreme Court justices gave them. They did not order the administration to return him to the United States. They said that they need to facilitate this return. They could have said, we order him returned, but they didn't do that. Yes, it does look a little bit like a semantic game, but they are playing within the bounds of what the Supreme Court ruled. So no, they are not defying this order.
James Carville, a man famous for saying it's the economy, stupid, is telling Democrats, don't talk about the economy. Fight for the rights of illegal aliens.
Sometimes you gotta on two fronts, and you can fight on the economic front, but also this is such an egregious trespass of justice that you just can't say, well, if we'll just repair to the higher ground and talk about egg prices and forget about this guy. Well, I'm not for that. I think what's happened here is a really offense against the nation. It's an offense against the Constitution. It's an offense against order. You just can't let this go.
A lot of empty bottles behind Carville there. I'm sure he had nothing to do with it. 21%. That's the Democrat Party's approval rating right now. 21%. They're defending waste, fraud, and abuse, Chinese slave labor, DEI, transgender, and illegal alien gangbangers. Trump designated MS-13 as a terrorist organization. So technically, Garcia is a terrorist. They'd rather give a terrorist the American dream than you. The American dream isn't possible without safety. El Presidente of El Salvador says it's not that he's imprisoning thousands, he's actually liberating millions. Trump says sending American bad hombres to El Salvador could help liberate millions of Americans.
He's also built one, but other also prisons, very big ones, and we're using his system because we're getting rid of our criminals from out of the United States that were allowed to come in by Biden.
Could we use it for violent criminals, our own violent criminals?
I call them homegrown criminals.
Yes.
I mean, the
homegrowns.
The ones that grew up and something went wrong and they hit people over the head with a baseball bat. We have, and push people into subways just before the train gets there, like you see happening sometimes. We are looking into it and we want to do it. I would love to do that.
I'm not sure that's quite legal, but Bondi says we're just going to build more prisons here. But it drives the left crazy, like flirting with a third term. And it keeps the bad hombres on their toes. This is what Trump means when he says, make America great again, or America grande otra vez.
And welcome to Hannity. And tonight, under President Trump, the state of our union is strong and, well, sadly for liberals, it's getting stronger. Yet Democrats across the country have never been more miserable. They hate his free and fair trade negotiations. They can't stomach it. It's too hard. Why would we demand free and fair trade? They hate his efforts to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. They hate Elon Musk. They hate that he is securing the southern border. You know, we allowed in terrorists, known terrorists, murderers, rapists, cartel members, gang members. Why would we want to keep them? Why wouldn't we want to keep them? They really seem to hate that the president is taking violent, criminal, illegal immigrants that Joe and Kamala Harris allowed into the country off the streets, booting them out of our country. They never should have been here. Now, coming up, Patty Morin will join us. You might recall her daughter, Rachel, a mother of 5, brutally killed on a Maryland hiking trail by an illegal immigrant from El Salvador who was just convicted of first-degree murder and first-degree rape. Sadly, you won't hear much about this horrific case from Democrats. They're too busy worrying about another illegal immigrant from El Salvador, a reported gang member, according to a judge, who recently was deported back to his home country. We'll have a lot more on the shameless hypocrisy in less than a minute. Also tonight, we will dive into the president's economic strategy with Dave Ramsey. And John Solomon has a new report tonight. That's right, involving New York Attorney General Letitia James. And in our other news of the day segment, out of work, well, frankly, nut job, Keith Olbermann is having another meltdown. What a shock. The angriest guy on social media, this time directed at Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, and also our video of the night, a special announcement from fake news CNN, according to Dana Bash. Fox News alert, they don't actually hate America. As always, we report, we'll let you decide. And by the way, after our monologue, we'll check in just a moment with Stephen A. Smith, who is going to tell you why he now feels compelled that he must consider a run for the presidency and to save the Democratic Party. This should be interesting. But let's be honest, the Democratic Party, they are in desperate need of a reboot. No doubt about that. This is a deeply broken, a deeply troubled party. Take a look at the topic of illegal immigration. Under Biden, Rachel Morin, Jocelyn Nungary, Laken Riley, and so many other women were murdered by illegals, and many others were raped, and others were victims of violent crimes. But Democrats showed little to zero compassion or interest in these cases. They didn't even bother to stand up during the president's joint address when he honored the mothers of 2 women that lost their lives to Harris-Biden illegals. And take a look at this post on X. Quote, when Rachel Morin, an actual Maryland mother, was killed by an illegal gang member, the only thing Chris Van Hollen did was give a statement to a news outlet. But when an illegal from El Salvador gets deported, he's ready to fly down to El Salvador to free his constituent. Think about that. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen wouldn't lift a finger to secure the southern border or even visit the southern border after a Maryland mother of 5 was raped and murdered on a Maryland hiking trail. But he's now up in arms because an illegal immigrant from El Salvador was deported back to his home country of El Salvador. Chris, you really serious about this? Because maybe he can move in with you. Take a look.
Well, I don't even know if we announced this, but I am planning tomorrow to go to El Salvador to work to bring him home. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I had heard that, but I didn't know that was public, so. Yes, yes.
We'll bring them all home. Bring all the illegals from El Salvador home. Doesn't matter if they're gang members or not. We'll find out how Rachel Morin's mother feels about this. This is insane. This is a party full of lunatics and who seem to value the comfort of an illegal immigrant over you, law-abiding, peaceful American citizens. And let's be very clear about something. This illegal immigrant in question is not a Maryland man. That is misinformation. That is fake news currently spreading like wildfire in the legacy media mob. According to the White House, this is a gang member who is most definitely not from Maryland, and he does not have a right to be in Maryland or anywhere else in this country. He is a citizen of El Salvador and is currently in his home country, thanks to Donald Trump and his administration. And now in other news, Barack Obama, he's busy with another cause. He's now rushing to the defense of Harvard University. Obama's very deeply troubled that Harvard may not receive their usual multi-billion-dollar payout with your money from the federal government after rejecting Donald Trump's federal mandate that requires universities to eliminate DEI, reject anti-Semitism on college campuses. The administration froze $2.2 billion in your tax dollars. So my question tonight, why is Harvard receiving any of your hard-earned tax dollars when we have $37 trillion in debt? You know, the school has the largest institutional endowment in the country. They have a whopping $53 billion stashed away. It costs nearly $80,000 a year to attend this private, prestigious university. So why is the federal government giving them a penny? And with bullets flying in Obama's hometown of Chicago, why is this his cause celeb? Why is this so important to him? This is a party of woke elites for woke elites. Now, they're simply not concerned with serious issues that impact most Americans. That is why their approval numbers are lower than they've ever been. Even in the deep blue state of California, Kamala Harris is now struggling to get political traction ahead of a possible run for governor. And meanwhile, breaking tonight, more troubling news for Democrats. According to a report from John Solomon and other news sources, the left's one-time big savior is in legal trouble. The left's one-time, the head of legal trouble. Anyway, a criminal referral has been issued from the Federal Housing Finance Agency and has been filed against New York Attorney General Letitia James. Now, based on this reporting, James is accused of falsifying records to receive more favorable loan terms. John Solomon will have a full report coming up later in the show. And tonight, the bad news for Democrats does not stop there. After enjoying quite a bit of rest and relaxation after leaving office, Joe Biden is out of hibernation, and he's speaking in public. Let's just say that today's speech did not go very well. Take a look.
It's about dignity, simple dignity. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, regardless of their standing, regardless of the economic situation, regardless of who they are. Fewer than 100 days, this new administration has made done so much damage and so much destruction. It's kind of breathtaking it could happen that soon. They've taken a hatchet to the Social Security Administration, pushing an additional 7,000 employees, 7,000 out the door in that time. We can't go on like this as a divided nation, as divided as we are. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time. It's never been this divided. Granted, it's roughly 30%, but it's a 30% that has no heart.
I'm serious. I'm serious. He's back. Low energy Joe. Anyway, Sleepy Joe. At one point, Joe actually referred to African Americans, well, using this term. Take a look.
And I'd never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time I was only going in 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by.
All right, the Democratic Party's not in a good place. That's the same guy, by the way, that partnered with the former Klansmen for the very purpose of stopping the integration of public schools and busing. Kamala Harris even one time called them out on it. But for some reason, they're totally opposed to any new leadership. For example, a recent poll showing our friend Stephen A. Smith, will join us in a second, with little chance of winning a Democratic primary in 2028. I am far more suspicious of this poll than probably most people, but the message, I will tell you, is clear. If you don't toe that radical left-wing, hardcore line Democrats, in the end, they will try to utterly destroy anybody if they jump into this race. They will be the people that decide who the candidates are going to be. And Stephen A. Smith, over the weekend, said that he has no choice but to have to leave open the door and consider a possible run. Take a look.
Elizabeth Warren was just on with you. You're going to have a multitude of Democratic representatives on with you. They talk and they talk and they talk, but what can they do? They position themselves to do absolutely nothing. They talked about everything from woke culture to cancer culture to abortion rights and all of this other stuff, but that wasn't going to win the election. And that's what we have to look at. What is it going to take to get the job done? That's why somebody who's a sports analyst, for crying out loud, is in the daggone polls.
Are you really thinking about running for president? Is this something you think?
Listen, I have no choice, because I've had elected officials, and I'm not going to give their names, elected officials coming up to me. I've had folks who are pundits come up to me. I've had folks that got a lot of money, billionaires and others, that have talked to me about exploratory committees and things of that nature. I'm not a politician. I've never had a desire to be a politician.
Somebody's getting to second base after the show. Hope it's me. Happy Tuesday, everyone. So today is tax day, or as Hunter Biden calls it, any other day of the week. To pay tribute to the California Gold Rush, a minor league baseball team decided to name themselves the Gold Diggers, but scrapped it after people claimed the name was sexist and demeaning. So from now on, they will call themselves money-grubbing whores. An MSNBC analyst claimed that Donald Trump wants to take anyone in America and disappear them, presumably by booking them as an analyst on MSNBC. Blue Origin's rocket successfully completed its mission with an all-female crew. The rocket was able to land safely after deploying both of Lauren Sanchez's breast implants. Man. It was the first all-female space flight in more than 60 years. They would have had another one sooner, but that's how long it took for them to get ready. Chicks! Am I right? Slow. Blue Origin astronaut Gail King enjoyed the flight, saying the ride was as smooth as when she's sitting on Oprah's face. It's the name of her private jet. Face. Disgusting people. Katy Perry sang "What a Wonderful World" during the space flight, and for 11 minutes it was, because she wasn't there. A 5.2 magnitude quake shook Southern California. In fact, the tremors were so strong, a crack was found in Nancy Pelosi's face. But during the quake, the elephants at the San Diego Zoo formed an alert circle to protect their young. I know. Similar behavior can be seen among other large land mammals in distress. All right. Let's do this. So, people have all sorts of opinions about the Trump tariffs. Some say they're going to restore the economy. Others say they're going to destroy the economy. Still others say, What's a tariff? But I just heard a new one about these tariffs. It's from the Kentucky Derby's very own Nicole Wallace. I wonder if she spent 9 months having to learn about the power of the manosphere.
I spent 9 months having to learn about the power of the manosphere and seeing Donald Trump sit with all sorts of podcasters and bloggers and people younger and hipper than me having to explain to me who they are and why they matter. But in consuming some of their content, a lot of conversations were pretty shallow ones about masculinity and what it meant to be emasculated. There is nothing more emasculating than losing your buying power.
Thank you, lady who was too insufferable for The View. I gotta hand it to her. She's working hard at creating a new phantom scare. And now it's the manosphere, which apparently means dudes who talk to other dudes on the internet. It's not a giant sphere made of men. If it was, Don Lemon would be sitting on it. So why did Nicole have to spend 9 months learning about dudes? Well, she didn't. Because other than Jeffrey Toobin whacking off, no one in cable news spends 9 minutes on anything. Disgusting. But because the left has lost the battle on real issues, it's easier to imagine a problem, which means it's time for...
You're entering another dimension, not only of sight and sound, but of mind. Next stop, Greg's Department of Imaginary Concerns.
Yes, it's time for Greg's dick. The Department of Imaginary Concerns. It's the same department that brought you Russian collusion, the climate apocalypse, trans kids, plastic straws. And now add the effects of tariffs on the manosphere. It's the lefty way of condemning tariffs while pretending to care about men. Men who've already fled your party like waxers when Joy Behar comes in to get a Brazilian. Keep going, Nicole.
There is nothing more emasculating than losing your buying power, than being a dad at the end of a baseball tournament travel weekend who can't pick up the check for everybody and feel great and generous. By being a mom or a dad and not being able to afford the new pair of sneakers or the brand new gear for your kid who wants to play basketball or baseball or your daughter who's a gymnast. There is nothing that takes away your sense of an ability to get ahead more than axing off your buying power. And that is exactly what Trump, by himself, did this week.
Oh, so now she cares about men and about masculinity. Where the has she been? She says high prices emasculate men. It's weird how she never said this when the prices were soaring under Biden. But now she's concerned because dads can't buy sneakers made by slaves. This argument can only be made by people so far up their own asses they fart eyelashes. But there's no problem libs can't make worse by thinking of another imaginary catastrophe. And now it's the manosphere. This week, Vox ran a whole piece on male podcasters grappling with tariffs. At CNN, some pudgy reporter did an entire investigation of the so-called manosphere. And the cretins at the conversation offered advice on what parents need to know to talk to their children. Talk to their children about the manosphere. They make it sound like it's a stranger handing out candy from a van labeled Fox and Friends. But is the manosphere really the problem? Here's a wonderful exchange before the all-female Blue Origin flight to space. But remember, it wasn't just 6 women.
They thought it was just 6 women going up into space for a joyride.
Wait, what do you mean just 6 women?
Well, that's what I mean. That was the criticism.
It's 6 women.
Let's explain to our audience why even a trip like this one, all the trips that we take into space benefit mankind.
So it benefits humankind, and I'm going to keep correcting the mankind and the man-made and the man missions, because this is exactly what this mission is about, is expanding the perspective of who does space.
I love that. We're no longer exploring outer space, we're doing space. Like it's hot yoga, or Pilates in the park in a diamond-encrusted thong. Boy, did that chafe. But I guess we should ditch every word with man in it. No more mango, manhole, manhandle, manhunt, mantle, manatee. But what about Manosphere? Take that away, then how will we bash Trump? It's funny, for every so-called moment of progress, we end up compelled to narrow our own world, to follow the rules of those entitled enough to participate in the progress. It's hard to keep up. Men, well, they suck until we need them to bash Trump policies. Women, well, any dude can be one with a little eyeliner. Until they do space, then they better be real women and rich, too. And hold on, no trans in space? Where's the inclusion? Doesn't ET stand for extra testicles? But this is the Democrat Party, a department of imaginary concerns, vying for attention but signifying nothing. And as long as Trump keeps at it, this dick can only keep growing. Yeah! Let's welcome tonight's guest! He was in Joker 2, but we booked him anyway. Comedian Tim Dillon! He's known for his style and his $1 million smile. Host of Making Money on Fox Business, Charles Payne. She's covered more athletes than Ben Gay. Host of the Michelle Tafoya podcast, Michelle Tafoya. And like their teeth, old ladies like to take him out at night. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, former comedian. I'm so excited that you're here. You have the best podcast on the planet.
Wow, that's very nice of you.
No, it is.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
So after I shower you with praise, you have a special tonight. It comes out today. Everybody should watch it on Netflix when the show ends.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's called Humankind. And it's about humans. No, it's called I'm Your Mother, which I can be. And it's on Netflix, so thank you.
Awesome. So are you part of the Manosphere? What did you make of that? What do you make of the media in general trying to tackle issues like tariffs?
It's funny the Manosphere is just it's a funny idea because it's this idea that the people, you run a very unpopular candidate on a platform that Americans reject and then go, it's actually 4 guys who have podcasts.
Yes.
It's a crazy rationale for it. It's just strange to me.
Yeah, they can't admit that actually the voters rejected them.
Yeah, like they said to me, they go, do you guys think you're the new establishment? I'm like, what about Harvard? You know, like, what? The new establishment? Half of these people, we work like an hour a day.
Yeah.
And a lot of us do it, high. So I don't know. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's like a really powerful group of people.
Yeah, I don't know. Charles, you look very purple.
Thank you.
I like a purple Charles.
I don't know. This might be the outfit for the Manosphere.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
This is the final boss of the Manosphere.
Yes.
This is the final level. I'm the beginning level, and then when you go up,
when you graduate,
you graduate.
Well, they give you a rose.
Yeah, if Manosphere doesn't work out, that's a great color for Greg's dick program.
Is your dick purple? Department of Imaginary Concerns.
Yes.
That's what it is, censors. Charles, I had a question for you, but I really don't care. What do you make of, what's her name? Michelle?
No, Nicole. No. God.
What's her name?
Nicole.
Nicole. What do you make Nicole's concern for men now?
Yeah, it's just so funny. She spent 9 months studying this. And she learned nothing. She essentially sounded like she described like a 40-year-old man. Not these, young men who put Trump over the top. She should just go to a couple of UFC fights.
Yeah.
If she wants to learn about this group of people, right? If you really want to learn, go there and stop hanging out with these men who are getting, wax it jobs and stuff like, because she's talking to the wrong dudes.
The only guy she's around is Chris Hayes.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. And we're not even sure, I mean, I haven't checked
But
down
the phoniness of it, though, is really the disingenuous part of it is what gets me. It's like you don't care about these people, you know nothing about them, and you're grappling. You're just grappling. And so please stop, with the crocodile tears.
Michelle, she mansplained the manosphere.
She sure did. And you mentioned that there was this article put out by The Conversation about how to talk to your kids about the manosphere. I want to tell you who wrote that.
Who did?
Her name is Annabelle. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but here's who she is.
I hate her already.
She's a PhD student in gender-based political violence at Anglia Ruskin University in the UK. Yeah. That's who's. So she's, you know, she's like 23, and she's going to tell parents how to deal with the manosphere.
I just love all these kids in their bedrooms. They're high. They smell like weed, and their parents are like, I got to talk to you. Like, what is it? And they're like, have you heard a podcast? They're like, thank God.
Yeah.
I thought they found that thank God.
The flip side of this is that these people like Nicole Wallace are so quick to, first of all, they hate these men in the manosphere, but now they want to use them to say, you don't like the tariffs in the manosphere, so you probably won't vote for Trump next time. But you know what they overlook? Toxic femininity, which is defined, Greg, by Emotional Intelligence magazine as villainizing all men as oppressors, dismissing or mocking issues affecting men, and promoting female superiority rather than true equality. And you can sense it. That's probably why the manosphere is, because women like Nicole.
Yeah, so basically you're talking about outnumbered.
There was another word I was going to use for that.
Yeah, Tyrus. Yeah. I keep hearing the phrase manosphere, and I feel like it's a bar you and I should go in on.
No.
Downtown, Manosphere.
Actually, it's funny, when I was in college, me and my buddy wanted to make a bar called Atmosphere, and it didn't work either. This is the worst attempt. Instead of looking in the mirror, they got their ass kicked, and so they're blaming podcasts for it. So they go to the old woke playbook, and they're like, we'll go to page 2. Men's fault, white men in particular. But we need a catchy phrase to bring everybody together. And this is where the woke up all the time. They don't have anybody creative on their team to come up with a cool nickname. Manosphere? You can't even say it like, I'm in the manosphere. No one wants to say that. No one's going to get a T-shirt that says manosphere. It just doesn't even in weightlifting terms, you wouldn't say I'm the manosphere of the year. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
They need a marketing team. Actually, you know what they need to do is they need to actually listen to the podcast, because most of us, to your point, smoke weed. And also, we just do it as an excuse to speak to our buddies and pretend like we're talking about world issues, and it's just us, just guys being guys. She doesn't know that. This is another pathetic attempt to try to blame white men for getting their ass kicked in the election, instead of just saying, hey, guys, we need to be better. It's manosphere, but it's not working. No one's using that.
Manosphere is no Greg's dick.
No.
Department of Imaginary Concerns. I'm obligated to say that after I say that.
And the new flag's coming out. It's going to be purple.
Yes.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.